stream to the YouTubes. There we go. Right. All set? Good to go?
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yes. Did you mute yourself then?
Yes.
Because you weren't muted. I heard you quiet. You were like, yes, yes. Jesus, you don't need to use the thing on the front of the mic. That's the one. If it's flashing, you're muted. No, now you're muted.
Now?
There you go. If it's flashing, you're muted. If it's on solid, then it's, I can hear you. Right, okay, let's do a podcast. You can let it go. Hold it. Are you gonna hold your microphone all night now? You've muted yourself now, you douchebag.
Yes.
Oh my god, I shouldn't have told you about that, should I? This is gonna be difficult now, isn't it?
I have anxiety.
About what?
About being muted.
Well, stop muting yourself then.
Because then the thing picks up my computer fan, I think.
I'm not hearing it. Hang on, let me turn... Don't say anything. I honestly cannot hear a thing.
Okay, fine.
Like, literally...
We'll experiment. Bobby will yell at me tomorrow.
I mean, these mics are like, if you've got it on the right setting, which you have, it's directional, so it's only picking up sound from the way it's facing, so you should be okay.
Do you hear me breathing?
Yeah, that was a bit creepy. Okay, well, this is a nice chunk of audio that Bobby can cut out. Also, this is going to end up in the archived video version of the podcast, so well done for that. Right, let's do a podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is Thursday, Avengers Infinity War Day 2018, and you are listening to episode 194 of the Talking Games podcast. My name is Huw, and I am here with Twitch's #1 Bloodborne streamer, Kelsey Lavati.
Hello.
Hey. So yeah, Kelsey this past Monday took the dive into baby steps into internet superstardom. I think maybe a few more streams we can start referring to you to as Kelsey Lavati enabler, or whatever it is they call him, influencer. That's the one.
Yeah. Social media influencer.
Yeah. We'll have like we'll throw a few controversies in there, some like homophobic slurs and some racism.
No.
And then she can be basically Kelsey's on.
Yeah, and then I'm well on my way.
Yeah, exactly. So congratulations, Kelsey.
Thank you.
Don't forget us all when you're hosting your own esports tournaments like Ninja did this past weekend. That was pretty cool, actually. If you don't know, Ninja actually hosted his own Fortnite tournament.
No, I didn't know.
And basically, I think it was called Ninja Vegas. And
okay.
Basically, people paid. It was because it was in Vegas, and he's called Ninja. It wasn't particularly inventively named. But the concept of it was pretty cool. It's basically you could buy a ticket, and that ticket allowed you then to play 3 rounds of Fortnite, and in each of those rounds would be Ninja. And if you were so lucky as to kill him, that person would win $2,500. And the winner of the round also won $2,500. So, like the very first round, this guy killed him and won the round, so he won like $5,000. just for one, like playing one game of Fortnite. But the cool thing was, I don't know if he actually did win any rounds himself, but basically, if Ninja himself won the round, he would donate the bounty, as he was calling it, on his head to autism charities, which he'd nominated. So it's quite a cool concept, actually. I didn't get to watch any of it because of the time difference, but the fact that it, allowed some money to go the way of charity is never a bad thing. And apparently he broke his Twitch viewership record again. He had like something like 700,000 people watching him, which is bonkers. So I'm sure Kelsey was well into watching that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So anyway, how did you find it? I didn't get to watch any of your stream because it was like bedtime. So like once I helped you get set up, I was like, okay, devices off, time
good night.
So yeah, so night, good luck. And seeing as how you didn't set your stream to archive, god damn you, I haven't seen it. So how did
First
it go?
of all, you didn't tell me to.
I know. Yes, that's fine.
So
I forgot. That's fine. I'm not goddamn myself.
No, it was good. I was really nervous like all day about it. But little did I know I'm a natural. No, it was actually fun. The game is weird. So I understand why Bobby thought it would be funny if I streamed it. And it's scary. And I'm afraid of the dark. So like anything that has to do with horror and stuff like that, like really scares me. It's like a general fear.
You do know, but it's not the dark that'll get you anyway. It's the things that live in the dark. So it's not
that's what I'm saying. Like it's a general thing.
Yeah. So
like there could be clothes on a chair and I'll think it's a monster. Like I've not aged since 5 years old.
We've all been there. I was asleep the other night and my Batgirl poster fell off my bed onto my head while I was asleep, and there was a change of sheets needed right there.
But like I don't even think I got too far in. I mean, there's some thing in the story that I like kind of feel like is happening. Like I know that there's the people who come out and try to kill you, and then there's people that are in their homes, because I had knocked on a door and someone's like, oh, why would you be out during the hunt? And I was like, okay. Not a good sign.
And I got stuck out.
But yeah, like one of my friends had told me that the game was really difficult. Bobby had told me it was really difficult. Justin said it was really difficult. So I know it's gonna be Struggle Bus City, but I had fun. So that's the only reason why I would continue the game. Because if I was by myself, I would not.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, Bloodborne. Have you ever played any of the Souls games?
No, never. Because I'm too afraid of these things. The only really actual horror game I've ever played was The Last of Us.
Yeah, I mean, Bloodborne is like obviously it's made by the same people, so it's a similar thing. But I think Bloodborne's a bit more forgiving than the Souls games. Like the Souls games just drive me mad. I'll play them for a while, and like just they're the only games that make me rage quit, really. So I mean, one thing I will say for Bloodborne is playing that will probably make your skills with the combat in God of War, which we'll talk about in a little bit, better, because it's not like there's similarities there. But yeah, it's one of those things where they've got sort of like roguelike elements, so it's kind of like, you die, but the enemies are always in the same place, so it's about remembering where they are.
Yeah.
And, what their attack patterns are. So they're tough, but they're also really rewarding. like I'll be very interested to see how you do when you come across the first boss.
Terribly, probably.
Yeah, don't worry, you won't be alone in doing that, because I remember when I was playing Bloodborne for the first time, and it took me so many tries to kill the first boss. And Bobby was like, "Come on, you can do it. It's not that difficult." And I was like, "It fucking is. I hate this game." And then I beat him. I was like, "Yes." But yeah, and then not long after that, I was kind of like, "I'm done with this game because it's driving me mad." So
Like I could tell, like I had only played an hour, and like seriously, 18 minutes of that full hour was me creating my character. So like I really only played like 40 minutes, and I was already screaming. So
yeah, well, I mean, character creation's important. You've got to look cool while you're dying,
yeah,
at least. So
we made him hot. Yeah,
yeah.
he has a
So
scar
what
and
weapon did you go
glasses.
with?
The saw,
Oh, okay.
yeah, and a gun.
Yeah. Yeah, the guns are handy because you kind of like stagger the enemies with them when you shoot
I
them.
don't know how to. I'm really bad at like equipping. I have no idea how to do anything. I'm learning.
Yeah, well, if your first hour with the game, it's understandable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad you had fun. Like, it is like streaming on Twitch is like I find streaming on Twitch easier than recording videos where I'm not like live for people to join me and sort of like chat. Because it's just easier. Like when I did that God of War stream the day that came out.
Yeah.
Like that was just super fun because there was people watching, there was people in the chat, and I had like it just becomes like it kind of helps you relax a bit actually, because you just kind of you've got people to bounce off. Whereas just like recording like a video for YouTube or something like the Pro Evolution Soccer series I do, I find myself going quiet for long periods because there's just nobody to sort of bounce off. And I think you having Danica with you when you were playing was probably a good idea as well, because you've got somebody there to sort of like bring yourself out.
Yeah, and we bicker a lot, so like
I hadn't noticed.
So like,
do you ever actually have a nice word to say to each other?
No.
Yeah.
Yes, we do, but I think like me and Danica are both like we're both like, we love like bouncing off people and like making like comedic jests kind of thing, and then it's like I find like then we compete, so then one or the other has to be the funnier one, and so then it just ends up bickering, and she's like a backseat video game player.
Oh.
So she'll give advice of like things that I already thought in my head but didn't say out loud, and then I'll get annoyed, and then she'll get annoyed that I'm annoyed, so like we
Yeah, you end up just like sat there facing away from each other, just like, I hate you.
We were surprisingly close. Our legs were touching, and like we're just so like into the game.
But yeah, funny story. When I was streaming, doing my God of War stream, Kelsey and Danica were watching, and like I've never come across anybody called Danica before in my life. So I'm sat there watching. She's in the chat. I'm like, oh, hey Danica. And I'm like just mispronouncing her name every time I say it, and like I don't know any friggin' better. Like to me, the N-I in the middle of that syllable is pronounced like the same as like Nino Kuni. So like Bobby texted me and he was like, I'm sure it's not a big deal, but you were like mispronouncing Danica's name all the way through that. I was like, oh fuck. So I just like started feeling really bad. So I sent him a message like, I'm so sorry, blah blah blah. And then like I tried to stream God of War again yesterday, but I had like technical issues, and she was in the chat, and I was like, I was like in my head, I was like, right, here we go. I'm getting this right. And I was like, hey Danica, and I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake. And she was like, "You got it wrong again." I was like, "I know." I was like, I meant to get it wrong, honestly. But the funny thing is, I'll tell the story about what happened today. So we get work experience people, um, and they're just like from local universities, and they come to us for a couple of days just to see. They might be doing sort of like design degrees and stuff like that, so they just want to get see how the fashion side of things work in the department store I work in. So I pick up this email saying there's this girl coming in. Can you meet her? Show her around the shop. Give her the health and safety boring bollocks. Her name's Danica. I was like, oh great, okay, this is I've got experience with this name. I know what I'm doing now. So I go down and meet her, and I'm like, hi, I'm Huw, and she was like, hi, I'm Danica, and I was like, for fuck's sake. And I was just like, why is the universe mocking me right now? Like, what are the odds? What are the odds? It's funny though. I was like straight on my phone at my nearest possible opportunity, sending Danica a message. I was like, fucking guess what just happened. So anyway, we will speak at length about God of War shortly. So I've been playing. I'll start with Ghost Recon Wildlands. I started playing it. I played the beta before it came out. And I haven't played it since. I actually did buy it when it came out. Never played it. Traded it in because I just didn't have anybody to play it with. And I had a free weekend a few weeks back. So I thought, screw it, I'll give it a go. Downloaded it. And I quite enjoyed it. And whilst the free weekend was on, it was like heavily discounted. It was like the deluxe edition of the game for like £20. I was like, screw it, I'll pick it up. And it's got a lot of similarities to Far Cry, really. It's very much sort of like everything you do is a case of going to somewhere, shooting a load of people, and then finding a thing, and then possibly taking it somewhere else. But it's just got a lot of cool mechanics. Like, I really like, there's a lot more of a tactical element to it. So when you're playing on your own, you've got teammates who you can control. So you can like tag enemies and tell them to shoot them. You have like a little drone that you can send up, and you can like scan the area around so you can spot all the enemies and stuff like that. And like, it's not a brilliant game by any means, but it's a game that's like quite good fun to play for an hour or two just to kill some time. I bet it would be damn good fun with friends, like sort of coordinating your attacks and stuff like that, because a lot of it is like, if you kill somebody and there's another enemy who has line of sight on them, then they'll see that person get killed and they'll sort of call for backup, and shit just goes crazy. But if you see like a group of two enemies together, you can basically say, right, 3, 2, 1, fire, kill them both at the same time, and you stay stealthy. So I really like that aspect of it, and you can do that with the computer controlled teammates you have. So that's like a good fun game. Like, if you could pick it up for 20, like, on like discounted like I did, I would recommend it. It's good fun. And the map is absolutely enormous. Like, I've played it for about 10-15 hours, and I haven't even touched like half of the map yet. It's insane. And a quick word about basically PUBG have started doing on the PC version events. So it's transparently in response to sort of Fortnite and the events they do, and trying to sort of change the game up a little bit. But so far, the two that they've done, we thoroughly enjoyed. Bobby and I played the first one, which is called War Mode. And basically, you'd have a small area of the map, and the plane would fly over that, and you drop into it, and in that circle then is 3 teams of 10. And it's basically you score a point if you get a kill, or you score a point if you revive somebody. And it's the first team. It was the first team to 200 points won the game, and it was really cool. So basically, how it worked was, like within your team, there was still the mechanic of like you got downed before you got killed, so your teammates could revive you. So like I said, you got a point for that. But basically, all the way through the match is a 40-second countdown. Basically, ticks down from 40 to 0, starts again. So every 40 seconds, the people who have been killed respawn, drop back in. So, like I said, if you go outside that circle that's marked on the map, like the circle does not move, but you still take like blue zone damage if you go outside the circle. So it was cool. It was a really fun like sort of team deathmatch type thing where it was like a random. I don't know how random it was actually, because it was generally in sort of like areas of the map that had buildings. Because I guess doing it in an open field would be just fucking bedlam. And it was good. And the last one last weekend was, I didn't enjoy quite as much, but was still very good, was called Steel Rain. So basically this was squads of 8, and I think the server basically filled up with as many squads of 8 as you can get out of 100 people. I'm not good at maths. I'm not going to do it right now, so you can figure that out for yourselves. Kelsey's probably doing some maths now. She's a student. She's intelligent. She knows what's going on. And basically, this worked a lot more like a normal game of PUBG, but like I said, with squads of 8. And randomly around the map, you find flare guns. So if you're outside the circle, as in the white circle, so between the edge of the white circle and the blue, and you fire off the flare, you'll get an airdrop with an armored car. If you were within the circle, within the white circle, you fire the flare off and you get like a proper sort of care package drop. So with, you know, high-end gear and stuff like that in. And it was really interesting. It was added quite a cool dynamic to the game. I think, like, I didn't myself physically see any of the flare guns at all, so I'm not sure how that worked. But it was interesting, like playing in a team of like 8 people, seeing how that worked, like watching people moving around as in a bunch and stuff like that. It's a bit tricky doing that mode, because if you don't want to communicate with people, like I don't when I'm playing online, unless I'm with somebody, like I kind of was when Bobby and I were playing together, because you know, Bobby was there to hold my hand because he's a grown up and I'm a big wuss. But yeah, it's nice to see PUBG add in a bit of like fun to the game and a bit more personality, I suppose, I guess you could say, for want of a better way of putting it. It's just mixing things up a little bit, which is long overdue, because it's just been it's been stale for a while, which I think is one of the big things that Fortnite has over PUBG, is that they're just constantly putting in new weapons, different modes, or they're bringing back modes that have been on before. Like I think 50v50 is back on at the moment. They've just added sticky grenades today or yesterday, and they're constantly just like doing new stuff, and they do kind of have an advantage over PUBG in the fact that they're concentrating solely on one map and one mode, so they've got a lot more time to develop these things, whereas PUBG have got like, they're working on the Savage map, they're working on the Xbox version, so you know, their hands are a bit more sort of spread out. So I guess God of War, I suppose you could say, is the first major big release of the year, really, if I'm not mistaken. Can you think of any others of this magnitude yet so far, Kelsey?
No. Well, no. No, I think it's the first.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like big AAA like titles that there's been a sort of fervor for, I guess, is probably the biggest.
Yeah, I think so because like often I don't play the big AAA games, so I'm like, oh, am I missing one? But I feel like you would have, so I feel like we would know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, also, I think if there was one, it would be fairly apparent, I suppose.
Yeah. Because I was gonna say like there's ones that come in my head, but I know that they haven't released yet.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, so basically, God of War released last Friday. It's the fourth game in the series from Santa Monica Studios, and
Hmm.
I think to call it a reboot is a bit of a misnomer, because what
Mm,
what's come before does have some weight. Like the bits I've just come to, like I think Kratos' past kind of has some weight, but not what's happened in those games so much.
well, as someone who didn't play those games, I don't find
Mm.
it truly affected me.
No, of
Like
course.
I don't think so at all. I don't find I missed anything.
Yeah, yeah, and I think like um having played, I think I played all three of them. Um I think it adds a little bit of extra weight to Kratos' character, but I don't think it's essential. Because it like when they do bring his past into play, it's very much sort of like still done in a way that sort of like you don't need to worry about what's gone on before.
Hmm.
But in terms of gameplay, it's a massive like shift change for the series.
Yeah.
And like being someone who's never played a God of War game before, um, how are you feeling about it so far, Kelsey?
I love it. I love it. I mean I know enough about the story, the past stories, but like that's what I mean. Like I don't think I need to know every detail. I know the other ones were far more bloody, and I know this one so far I've only had like one really big fight where there was like a lot of blood and like kind of, I guess you could say. Um, but other than that, like I am really enjoying it, but maybe I could be biased because I love stories about fathers. So,
I wouldn't say. I mean, obviously, when there's something that plays to your particular fetishes, Kelsey, that that'll bring in an extra level of enjoyment. I was very careful with my choice of word there.
okay.
But yeah, I mean, like that's fair enough. Like if you like
Hmm.
father and son stories, then
Yeah.
this is a father and son story. Um,
That's
sorry,
all I was saying.
I was a bit too close to home there, wasn't I? I've embarrassed you
Okay.
now. But like I completely agree. Like um, like my sort of build up to this game was quite weird because I was kind of like I was looking forward to it, but I wasn't kind of like,
Hmm.
yeah, God of War's coming out.
But
God of
I
War's
feel
coming
the
out.
same. I feel the same. Like if I don't think if it got like really, really good reviews, that I would have played it right away
Mm.
or even at all
Yeah, I was
because
the
I was
same.
really worried about that story aspect.
Um, because
Yeah.
up until the reviews came out, I was kind of like, okay, I'll play it at some point, but
Hmm.
I'm not in a rush to get to it. I've got other stuff that I'm just kind of like, I'm playing at the moment. I might have played through them before, but whatever. I'm having fun
Hmm.
with the games I'm playing right now. And then the reviews started coming out, and they were, a lot of them were like effusive in their praise of the game and
Yeah.
like saying like this is an essential game to play, it's something special. And I was like, All right, okay. I suppose we're getting God of War on day one because it looks like this is a must play game, and
Mm-hmm.
I've got I'm there's no way of actually telling, but I'm inclined to say I've probably pushing about 25 hours into it now.
Oh
Um,
shit.
and I am like stunned by that game. Like it is like it genuinely is fantastic. Like the aesthetic of it is like it's
Beautiful.
and it's markedly more colorful than I was expecting. Like some
Mm-hmm.
bits, like the bits with Freya and the whole bit
Yeah.
around where she lives and stuff like that. It
Yeah.
looks amazing. Um, and like I was playing it earlier tonight, and there's a bit where it's just like Kratos on his own, and the camera's like really close to him. Like I was just sat there thinking, wow, this is one of the best looking games I've ever played.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the texture on his skin, like the movement of his hands, like being, I don't know whether it's mo-capped, but it's just so like incredibly lifelike. Um, and I'm really impressed with like how so far it feels like every time I play it, this game is giving me stuff. Like it just keeps giving to you the more you play it, and I'm doing side
Mm-hmm.
quests. I'm just going, oh hey, look at this. I'm going over here. I'm gonna moor my boat by here, and I'm gonna go and run around this area and see what's going on. And like you find things. There's like a new sort of, you might find new armor. You might find um another side quest, or you might find like an upgrade or something like that. And it's just so well paced, and the story just keeps like, I often find with stories of like this ilk, like father son type stories, where it's just a case of one person's relationship with another and how they evolve. They often sort of go through weird. The pacing's not very good. Like you'll have sort of like they might be called to each other at first, and then all of a sudden, like there might be just sort of like thrown in one bit where they like, there's a bit of tenderness there. But
Mm-hmm.
so far, the pacing of the relationship and how it's slowly evolving with Kratos and Atreus is really, really good. And it feels very organic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like going into a game where you've got a kid who's always around is like, it's a very difficult thing to achieve, not having them be annoying, and he's not. He genuinely becomes like a brilliant
Crucial. Yeah.
character, and also a very good mechanic in the gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can use him like very, very effectively.
Yeah.
Um and like, have you got like, how much have you sort of used him with the combat and stuff, like with his bow and arrow and that?
We haven't gotten any like new arrows.
Hmm.
So I don't know if that's like a spoiler, but we're still at the what he has
Yeah.
originally.
Yeah, I mean, every time he gets a new arrow, it opens up new areas of the game for you.
Yeah, then I
Like
know. Yeah.
I've got um two different types of arrow now.
Mm-hmm.
Like once you go above the basic arrow, you don't go back to it. You've got one or another right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they, like both of those arrows enable you to do new things. And there'll be areas when you're running around the game and like, I can't go here right now. Like when am I going to be able to get there? And these arrows allow you to get there. But then there's also other areas in the game. Have you come across any of those doors which are kind of like covered by like a mirror, like the thing that looks like a mirror?
No, that doesn't
Okay.
sound familiar.
So, a word of advice: when you do see them, walk up to them and press
Yeah.
circle. You can't open them for a while, but it marks them on your map because you'll need to go back
Okay.
to them. Um,
Okay.
I won't tell you or anybody what's behind those doors, but I went behind one of them earlier on, and goddamn, just get good at the combat before you go through them, basically.
Okay.
But like, what were your expectations going into it, like before it came out?
I don't know. I didn't really have expectations, like, because I never played the game, I guess. So for me, I didn't think Atreus would be like as important, and I didn't know how much I would love him and I would die for him.
Yeah, and like I
Like
said,
I would literally throw Kratos off anything
Yeah.
to save this child.
Yeah, and it's like like I said, he's so like just so
He's so good.
so
Yeah.
well written.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I love. Like, there's a lot of and I think Santa Monica have basically been pretty open about it. It's like there's a lot of kind of echoes of Naughty Dog in the way that this game tells its story. Like, I love the bit. Have you got to the lake yet, Kelsey? Basically,
what part does it come after? Because
I'm not sure. I think
basically the part I'm at is like something really big happened to Atreus and he's having a hard time accepting it.
Yeah. I mean,
that's
you'll know when you'll know when you get to the lake.
Okay. Yeah.
So basically, like, there's this lake. I'll be as big as I can, and there's tons of locations around it. Like, just sort of places that are relevant to the story. There's stuff to explore, and that's where the game really sort of goes from being small hub worlds to being a lot more open. And like, while you're in the boat with like Kratos and Atreus, and later on there's a third voice that gets added and adds a bit of like humor. They're always talking to each other, so you'll be going from sort of A to B, and like Atreus says to Kratos, and he'll be like, "Oh, father, tell me a story," and he's like, "Okay," and then he's just like, he tells the story, and it's like, sometimes it's like he does well, other times he tells it like really poorly, and like Atreus is just like, "That was a really bad story," and like, it just,
I love him.
it does like there's nothing there story wise, but it's such a good way of, like, again, like Naughty Dog games do, like with Uncharted and like The Last of Us did, where it's just two characters who you've got a little bit of time to throw in some dialogue to expand the dynamic between them, and it does it really well. And one thing I will say for this game as well is that like, I don't mind games when they're serious, if they're sort of a bit more realistic, but I think in this setting, and I think one thing with the previous God of War games is they were always a bit they took themselves a bit too seriously, and there's times when like Kratos is like the butt of a joke, and like Atreus is basically sort of like yanking his chain, and it's really funny. Like, it's kind of like it reminds me a bit of sort of like Damien and Bruce Wayne's sort of dynamic, where like he's like jerking around, and he's like, Bruce is just like, yeah, no, okay, whatever, and like like the joke is at like his like Kratos's expense, and I really like that about it. And then, like I said, there's a third voice added, which brings that out even more as well. But I'm just blown away by it. Like the design in that
Yeah.
game,
Yes.
like just
Yes.
silly, just little things. Like there's some doors, like those doors with the mirrors on them. I open when you can open those. The way they open is just visually so damn cool. And
Hmm.
it just looks amazing. Like I would love to watch. Like I would say next time you stream, Kelsey, I want to see you play God of War as opposed to Bloodborne, because I just want to like, because I'm way ahead of you, and I just want to sort
Yeah.
of like watch you react to like discovering things in the game. And I think between myself, you, and Danica, we've kind of like formed a 3-person Freya fan club,
Fan club.
because she's a robo babe.
She's a broad and a half.
Broad and a half. I was
She's a real broad.
I cracked up when
It's
you said
funny that you
and I
find
was
that
like,
funny because I'm being sincere. Like I actually think she's a broad.
I was like, hey, do you want to go and shoot some pool with the broads? I was like, people use that word these days. Like,
It's a compliment.
this guy makes you sound like a 1930s like gangster or something. Hey, we were out with the broads the other night.
All our grandparents came from Italy during that time. So yes, we all speak like this.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that did make me laugh. But yeah, Freya. Oof. Lordy, lordy. Yeah. Also,
I would let her spit on me.
Yeah, I was just about to say there was this weird moment where, like, it's not really a spoiler because I don't think saying a character spits in somebody's face in a video game is a spoiler or anything. And I've said it now, so whatever. And I was just like, okay, here's a question: if you think Freya's that hot, would you let her spit in your face? And Danica was straight away was like, yeah, I'd totally let her spit in my face. And I was like, yeah, I think I would too, because she's hot. She's hot. And like she makes multiple appearances in the game and is brilliant. But I'm also surprised by how big a game it is.
Yeah.
Like the map is huge. Like, and it's not like when you find new areas, just areas to explore. It's not like they're small. Like say like that lake I mentioned. There's so many areas around it. And you go to them, and there's like full on sort of like puzzles to solve. There's have you come across any of those? There's like those chests, and they've got like the 3 symbols on the front of them.
Yes. Yes.
So there's at first it sort of has you open those just by like destroying sort of 3 like idols, I suppose you could call them, with those emblems on. But then as you progress, it layers on sort of like new ways of opening them. And I kind of like, at times, it's kind of reminiscent of like doing a tomb in Tomb Raider. And one thing I will say, Kelsey, is if you pick up side missions, I don't know what your attitude is towards side missions, but do them, because this game does a bloody good job of if you do a side mission, it's very, very, very worth it, because you get like stuff that actually makes it gives you the rewards are genuinely worth it, because you'll get like items that you can use to upgrade your armor or the axe and stuff like that, and it helps your progression through the game a lot. And also, like I said, there's some of those side quests do have some really cool areas for you to explore, and it's like I said, it's kind of like have you played any of the new Tomb Raider games?
Mm.
Oh, okay, well,
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of the tombs in the new Tomb Raider, especially.
Yeah, but I can see where, because I know that in the Tomb Raider games there's a lot of puzzles.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's nothing of that complexity, I suppose, in God of War. They're just basically they're simple logic puzzles, but they're like really well done, and I kind of appreciate the fact that they haven't gone too far in making them tricky, because it just it stops you from having your progression through the game slowed down. So I do really like that about it. But we'll leave that there, and I'm sure we will talk about God of War an awful lot over the coming weeks. Like, Bobby's been playing it. Like, Matt's probably gonna play it once he's played through every song in Rock Band.
I think he did.
He has bought it, has he? Oh, well done, Matt.
Yeah, he bought it, and I think he played a little bit.
Oh, cool. Well, okay, then that's all four of us playing this game. So I think,
Yeah.
I think maybe once we're all done with it, we'll have maybe like a spoiler episode for it, because I think it's worthy of that, because from what I've seen so far, like I said, the writing is so good in it, and the dynamic of the characters and the story's really developing as well to something interesting. So I think that might be a possibility down the line. So I put the call out for some opinions on God of War on Twitter, and the aforementioned Danica said Kratos is the ultimate dad. I think that's a bit of a bold statement. His beard is godly. That's one thing I will say, is the beard physics are very good. Like, his beard gets blown in the wind very nicely.
I
It's
agree.
very good. I want to make him proud. I don't think it's possible to make Kratos proud. I think he's just gonna whatever.
But that's what she means. Like, there's such a high expectation that she feels like she needs to challenge herself.
Yeah.
To make him proud.
Yeah, one thing I do like is, like, every now and then when you finish the combat, like, Atreus will say to him, like, "How did I do?" And he'll just go like, "Adequate." He's just like, high praise from Caesar.
So precious.
And she also says, "I also want him to be angry at me and yell at me and call me girl. Voice equals 10 out of 10. I'm infatuated." I'm kind of thinking someone might have the hots for Kratos. Do you reckon, Kelsey? I think that's kind of like the underlying theme there.
I don't see it.
Really? Wow.
Because I appreciate him as a father, and Danica appreciates him as a daddy. Wink.
As a do me daddy. She says, "Playing this game exhilarates me. Also, it is beautiful and I would like to live there, minus creepy singing lady. Also, I love Atreus as if he were my child. I want to protect him.
Yes.
He's so pure."
Yes.
And then in conclusion, she says, "And Freya is hot as fuck."
Yes. I agree with all that.
Correct. And oh no, this is the last thing. Ask Kelsey when we will play God of War and Bloodborne again. So I think she's trying to set up a social calendar via the Talking Games podcast. So Kelsey, you're on the spot. You're obliged to answer Danica. This is essentially a listener question now.
As she knows, I have finals when finals are done.
Yeah.
And she knows this. I don't know why she has to be such a ball buster.
Well, you've already established that's what you do to each other. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm probably gonna stream more of it. So if Danica
because
wants
I
to
love
live vicariously through me as opposed to you for a change, then She's welcome
I
too.
like supporting you, but then I feel like I know things that happen. Like there's one like boss fight, I guess you could say he was like the first boss.
The stranger.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I knew it was coming, and I knew that Danica had left your stream by that point. So because I didn't want to deal with it, I threw the controller at her.
Yeah, that's
And I'm like, oh, it's your turn to play.
one thing I will say is like as a sort of spectacle, that first boss battle is really cool.
Yeah.
Like, visually some like awesome stuff happens, but the one like hole I can pick in this game so far is that first boss battle goes on a wincy bit too long.
I agree. Like Danica did it in one shot. So that's what I found that it was actually long. Like it's like when you're in the Pokemon game and then you're about to beat one of the final four, and you have like they have like 1 HP left, so you're like, okay, I'm gonna use Scratch because you don't want to waste like your good moves, you know. And then they fucking use the HP restore, and you're like, fuck, because your guy is already dying. That's what it felt like, and it just was so long of that. But I get that it had to establish like a threat to Atreus.
Yeah.
And that there is someone out there or people out there that can actually threaten this child, that are actually up to par with like Kratos's power.
Yeah. And it does go some to establish that further down the line as well. And one thing I do really like about it is like the whole sort of use of Norse mythology in the game. Like there's a lot of it, and it's really, really fucking cool. Like I don't know how accurate it is to actual Norse mythology, but
probably not.
No, but if it isn't, then kudos to whoever wrote it, because it's really cool, and I really appreciated that about it. So right, we shall move on to some news items now, which we'll sort of go over fairly quickly. Kelsey, I'll do a quick one, and then we'll talk, and then I'll hand over to you for the one you added. So basically, out of the blue, I kind of knew-ish that this game was coming to consoles, but it's just come out of nowhere. H1Z1, or colloquially H1Z1, is coming to PlayStation 4. If you go on, I think it's h1z1.com/PlayStation 4 right now, you can sign up for a closed beta, but next month they're having an open beta, so I would imagine full release for that after that probably maybe only be sort of like 2 or 3 weeks after the open beta, unless they have a second open beta. But basically H1Z1 is now a free-to-play game, so that's basically them stepping in now and adding a second free-to-play battle royale game on PlayStation. And apparently that game has changed a hell of a lot, because like me and Bobby played it a bit on PC, but they've changed it up quite a bit, because I think they've done some stuff with it, so it's a bit more sort of esports ready, as they like to say. So it'd be interesting to see what it's like on PlayStation. Apparently they've put a lot of work into optimizing the control system, and they also say that the game will run at 60 FPS on PS4 Pro, so that's pretty cool. So Kelsey, handing over to you for news of Detroit Become Human's developer.
Yeah, so I thought this was interesting because me and Matt got a question last week about like whether or not, or was it last week, or was it no, it was last week, I think. Anyways, about whether or not like we would play Detroit Become Human. And I said yeah, because like the story really interests me, blah 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 blah. But then like, I know David Cage is like a piece of shit, and I've heard this several times.
Apparently so.
um, but over the weekend, uh, Cage sues French media over articles on toxic work conditions. So, like, on top of it, so you hear rumors that he has like really bad work conditions. Like, I'll see if I could find an example.
I've heard in the
There's none
past.
right here, but I know it's like making them work late, and like he has like this kind of power issue. And
Yeah,
like people
and
make a lot of jokes, like every time you insult him, he'll know because he Googles himself. Like, he has a very high um
he's got an ego.
idea. Yeah, exactly. He's very narcissistic, was the word I was looking for. But basically, this French newspaper Le Monde and Mediapart are French like journalists, I guess you could say. And the video game studio taking legal action against the press for negative reporting. So Cage and co-CEO Guillaume de Fondamier had threatened litigation in January when the reports hit, but some observers assumed that was posturing, and it wasn't, because media outlets have confirmed to Kotaku on Monday that they are suing. And I wanted to talk about this because I find it almost like a Donald Trump situation where it's like your ego is so big that you can't accept valid criticisms in your actions.
Mm-hmm.
And as a CEO of like a video game studio, you have to know like where your limits are and deal with the consequences. And specifically in this case, it's like if you are being criticized, either shut up and deal with it in your office and make strides towards making your workplace better. And don't make a, like, I don't know how to say this without telling him just shut the fuck up. Like, apologize, shut the fuck up, deal with it behind what you need to do, acknowledge that you made a mistake, and make advancements, because people might play your game regardless, but your reputation falters. I don't know if you get what I mean.
I mean, like
I don't see how you can sue, how you think suing journalists makes you look better. I just don't see it.
No, it doesn't. And like, I think this is one of those like no smoke without fire situations. Like, the reason why I know this guy's name is because of like multiple stories I've seen with allegations of like, racism, homophobia, sexism, and just him being like a general, like, just being a shitty person to people, and like you say, just forcing people to work like ridiculously long hours and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, reading this article, he's one of those, like, he's given the sort of like, I can't be racist, I've got racist friends type excuse. He's like, do we want, is like in a I'm not sure where this quote is coming from, but he says like, do we want to talk about homophobia? We work with Ellen Page, who's fighting for LGBT rights. Do we want to talk about racism? We are working with Jesse Williams, who is fighting for civil rights in the United States. Judge my work. And I'm just like, dude, these people...
Yeah, that was an interview that came out a couple of months ago. These
people are working for you, and their work will result in you making a fuckload of money. Like, you probably don't give a... Like, you could, like... hate them, but because they're gonna help make you money, you're not gonna like care if like who they are is offensive to you, because they're gonna be profitable to you. So that doesn't fly to me. That just seems like someone grasping at straws. But then is like the thing it mentions in the article as well about like employees of the company like having like their faces photoshopped onto like naked bodies, or like people wearing Nazi uniforms and shit like that, and there's like displayed around their offices and things like that. So there's obviously
It's weird.
yeah, it's fucking it
It's
is
so
odd.
weird.
Like if that happened in my workplace, like, and like I got found out for it, I would be out the door quicker than I could say my own name, and my name is only 3 letters long, so that's how fucking quick I'd be out the door. But you know, there has to be something going on behind the doors of that company. But like you say, him coming out and suing people for stories isn't gonna like make that stuff go away. Like, because if it's still happening, then people are still gonna like point the finger.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like, how can you think that someone criticizing, like, you're in the public sphere, and obviously you want to be in the public sphere, so it's like, deal with it. I don't know, like,
Yeah,
learn to take criticism. Like, you are a shitty person, like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Because it basically says that the sued publications will have to demonstrate that they handled the story with fairness and good faith. They will have to show the judge that they reached out to all parties involved, offered those parties perspective, and used the appropriate caution while reporting their story. So it's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on that one and see how it pans out, because like if it doesn't go his way, then
like, what's he gonna do?
Yeah, exactly.
Get more mad? Like,
if the thing is, if it does go against him, all he's done is just bring all of this shit back into the limelight, and if anything, it might go some to sort of helping to sort of solidify that those allegations aren't just, sensationalist storytelling in a newspaper. So it'll be very interesting to see how that turns out. But in happier news, we've had May's PlayStation Plus free games confirmed, and it's going to be a bit of a good month, I think. So the big game that we have, and I think these will be out next Tuesday, May the 1st. So that's very early in the month for PlayStation Plus. Usually it's sort of like, around 6, 7, 8, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, the big game of the month is Beyond Two Souls.
Speaking of David Cage.
Yeah. Which is a good game. Like, I played it, I enjoyed it. It's not anything amazing, but it's cool and it's very cinematic, and for free, it's a very good price. And they were obviously doing that to help, with sales of Detroit Become Human, and secondly, Jackie Ormond, former Talking Games presenter, will be over the moon to find out that Rayman Legends will be free. So yeah, which is also a damn good fun game, and it is very, very pretty too. It's extremely colourful. Have you played Rayman Legends?
Yeah, but like not all the way through. Like, I've tried it out.
It's good fun. But maybe leave it until you're done with the hardcore daddy action. So it says PS3 owners will have 2 games to claim: co-op action arcade game Eat Them and action RPG Risen 3 Titan Lords. For PS3, it says Vita rounds out the list with 2 puzzle games, Firmins and King Oddball. The latter supports cross-buy on both PS3 and PS4. So basically, if you've got a PS4, you're getting Beyond Two Souls, Rayman Legends, and King Oddball. So you've got 3 games. And you can switch your PlayStation on and claim the other games as well, because, don't miss out on your free stuff. So that's a pretty good month for PlayStation Plus, I think. Some good, damn fine games in there. So we will wrap this mother up right here for this week. Unless you've got anything else that's itching at you that you want to say, Kelsey.
No.
Okay. Fair enough. No. So, right, you can contact us at games@talkingcomicbooks.com. We are at talking_games on the Twitters. You can find our YouTube content at youtube.com/talkinggamesvideos. So on YouTube, if you've missed any of our live streams, they get archived on there. So you can also go on mixer.com/your3dads and follow Bobby, Justin, and Andy's escapades in PUBG, as they all basically get salty and argue with each other whilst playing a video game. It's highly amusing. And like Justin gets especially angry, which comes as no surprise to anybody. And we are also a Humble partner. There's a very good Humble bundle on right now, which is for PS3, PS4, and PS Vita. And it's a bunch of Capcom games and Sega games. So there's like Mega Man in there, Dead Rising, a whole bunch of stuff. I tweeted the link out a few days ago. And I'll put it in the show notes on the Talking Comics website for this. So basically, if you click that link, if you buy that bundle, we'll get a little share of the money you spend. More importantly, money goes to charity, and that's why Humble Bundle is so good, because money goes to charity. And you get a shit ton of shit ton of games for like practically free. Because I think there's probably about 10 games in there, and it's like pay what you want. So Humble Bundle is always very much like worth a look. So that'll be it for this week. I will go through the Twitter handles of the people in absentia. You can follow Bobby at Bobby Shortle on Twitter. You can follow Matt at Johnny Matt Wood on Twitter and the Insta. And see, I'm down with the kids. I know how to shorten these names of these things, so I look cool. And Kelsey.
KELSSAMUS. I wasn't sure if you were asking me.
I'm asking you to keep up with what's going on in the conversation.
Kelsamus.
Jesus. Oh my god. The youth of today, she sat there with her phone, probably scrolling through Twitter as I asked her for a Twitter handle.
No. No, I was I was texting my boyfriend.
Snapchat. WhatsApp. Oh. I've run out of instant messaging. It's like Facebook Messenger. And you'll find me at H_Paz on the Twitters and HughPaz on Insta.
Ooh.
Speaking of HughPaz, in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be wearing some esports garb, which is personalized with my gamer handle on it. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but I'll wear it for you lovely people. I'll model it, and you can all swoon or vomit, whichever way you feel. But that's it for this week. Thank you, Kelsey.
Thank you, Hugh.
And thank you to all of you. Until next time, take it out on a date, give it a nice meal, and fucking smash it.
Yeah.
Also, be good to one another.
Yay.
When I read that, when you said that on the stream, I was like, did she really just fucking say that?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
I was like, good girl. That's my kind of uncouth.
Is the thing empty?
I have no idea, Kelsey. Let's have a look. Oh god, I'm so excited for Infinity War.
Don't talk about it because I have finals. But I have this weird thing where I hate going to watch these like the first without.
Why?
If you're talking, I can hear you.
I know.
Do you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you froze. I hear you too.
I think things went a bit wonky for a second there. Yeah, why don't you like going to see films on the?
Because I don't like when I have